Hey guys, so welcome to the second half. Okay, solve the equation using the graph. So I talked about the first half of the test in the previous video. For this one, I'm actually on number 9 in the test. Solve the equation using the graph. So this one they're going to show you a picture of a graph, and then you just have to say what the solutions are. So for instance, if the graph looked like this, and there was a dot here and a dot here, and this was, let's say, 1, 2, 3. So we have -1 and +3 here. And so we would say that the solutions to this equation are -1 and 3. So that would be our answer. Just on the line on the test, we would write -1 and 3. That's it. Now, it'll give you an equation as well. And if you want to make sure your numbers are correct, it's always a good idea to take those numbers and plug them back into the equation and make sure that they work when the equation is equal to 0. That's 9 and 10. Those are simple. 11, 12, and 13 say to solve the equation and round to the nearest hundredth if necessary. So this is like 10.5 where you really were just solving both sides of the equation. So for instance, 5x squared plus 40. I'll do that one. I'm sorry, 5x squared equals 40. These were the kinds of problems where there's really no b value if you think about the standard form of an equation, and so you can just solve it by taking the plus or minus square root of both sides. So for instance, here you would divide by 5 on both sides of the equation. You would end up with x squared equals 8. Take the plus or minus square root of both sides, and you get x equals plus or minus rad 8. Be careful with these kinds of problems. You always want to simplify your radicals if you can. X equals plus or minus, so let's see. Rad 8 is like rad 4 times rad 2, so this is going to be 2 rad 2. And that's the answer. These ones are really simple. These are just the ones where you're just solving using algebra, take the plus or minus square root of both sides, and you're done. Let's do one more. Here's another one that it might look like. G squared plus 11 equals 24. Okay, same thing. We're going to subtract 11 on both sides. G squared equals 24 minus 11 is 13. Take the plus or minus square root on both sides. You end up with G equals plus or minus rad 13. And it's not simplified. You can't simplify this, so this is our final answer. Okay. The next questions. There's one that says find the radius of a circle whose area is something. So they show you a picture of a circle. Okay? And they say they're telling you that the area of this circle is 81 pi. Okay? And they want to know what the radius is. Well, this one should be really simple for you to do. Remember that the area equals 81 pi, but the area of a circle is matches with the formula pi r squared. So this is where you're going to make the two equal each other. 81 pi equals pi r squared. 81 pi equals pi r squared. Divide by pi on both sides. Remember this trick? If you divide by pi on both sides, you get rid of it. You don't have to estimate with using 3.14. That's not accurate anyway. This is the most accurate way to deal with the pi. Cancel it all the way out. Now we just have 81 equals r squared. Well, we're going to take, let's see, 81 equals r squared. Take the plus or minus square root. That means we get plus or minus 9 as our two possible answers for r. But of course, since we're talking about a length, the radius, we're only going to consider the positive answer. So it is 9. And then if it tells you, this one said inches. Sorry, I didn't write that before. Inches. So my final answer needs to be in inches. Make sure you include the units. Okay. Next, you have to describe and correct an error where someone is trying to complete the square. Then you do 3 problems where you have to use the quadratic formula. Then you do a problem that says for the period 1990 to 2001, the number of tickets sold. It's one of those where you have to plug in a number for Y, find out how many years it has been since 1990, and then use that to get your final answer. You're going to want to use the quadratic formula to solve that one. And then the last three questions are one solution, two solution, or no solution. And you can watch the video on 10.8 that I made for YouTube if you can't remember how to do that kind of problem. So hopefully this has given you some good tricks, some good tips for what you should be looking into. Do practice problems from the book if you need to in addition to the homework, and make sure you're correcting your work as you go. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night.